think we had,
meeting back to order. The first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to accept the personal recommendation made by Dr. Lovecchio in executive session.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And do we have a approval of the minutes and the consent agenda? Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Mr. Smith, do you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion that we accept it in there as this.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Now, director's report, sir.
good morning. First, I'd like to acknowledge our ACE Teacher and Support Staff of the Year to the board. This year, Mr. Van Norman, our welding teacher, was voted by his peers as Teacher of the Year, and our school nurse, Nurse Manassi, was voted as our Support Staff of the Year. Both well-deserving, both incredible professionals and assets to our school, so well-deserved, and we're excited that they're part of our team. Just an update on the capital improvements. The design phase is ongoing. I did get a copy of the electrical drawings already submitted to me. They're going over them at the operational level. Of course, I couldn't understand a word they meant because they were just wires of blueprint, but we're making some progress. And when I hear back after they're reviewed, I will share any updates we have, but they have made progress and submitted that first rendering of the electrical updates of the, that they plan to hopefully start in the fall.
Will we get pricing on that?
I'm guessing when they're working with the architect, they've signed up a lot of agreements, lately contracts, so I'm sure we'll be getting that soon. I can report that back. Boeing,
A quick question.
Yes, sir.
You said this says capital improvement. I guess, maybe I'm not sure, which capital improvement is this right? Because I'm not really sure what that is.
well, when, about 2 years ago, the boards approved $1 million each to ACE, and it's taken a while to get that flow going to use that money. So right now, they're doing early drafts of blueprints and renderings from a design cut team, and they're hiring Lacan to begin to spec out the specifics. So we have different phases that we're looking at, and hopefully phase 1 is our electrical, because that's our biggest need right now, and that's what they were drawing the blueprints on. So we're trying to get as far with that $2 million as we possibly can before we have to come back and figure out different funding sources.
Is that progress designed for electrical for this building?
For the whole, all the buildings on
Okay.
campus, yeah, because we have the original electrical, and one of the issues we have is they don't make parts for a lot of it anymore. It's out, the company's out of business, so it's a hazard to have in there. It's in the middle of our electrical classroom. So one of the first things they'll be doing is removing that large receptacle that distributes the energy throughout the campus. They're gonna be moving that to either a new closet or a new building that they will construct off the main building.
And do we have a list of everything that needs to be done, a bucket list of things that needs to be done?
We had one, and it was about 3 years old, so the design team came out and they began to look at use that list and walked around and also identified some new things. Because when we had the list that was, I think 2019, we've had to repair some things since then on our own that have gone out, like a water boiler, for instance, was on that list very high. Well, that water boiler went out and the board voted a few years back to replace that. So they're updating that list, and that was why the design team has kind of come out. They took the list we had and they've done that. And while they're constructing that new list, they're also working on the electrical, because everyone, that's number one. So it's kind of happening simultaneously.
My concern is just that so that we understand what we're actually doing, and we're actually making sure that everything is being managed to some type of degree, some type of decorum. I think it would be great for us to see exactly what the list is, so that if anyone ever comes to this board, everyone comes to ACE, that we as also as board members can speak to that and say, hey, this is what we got done for this, and this is where the money is, or this is what we decided, in terms of need versus want, in terms of what that look like from what the administration presents to us of what are the needs are, and versus where we can get more bang for our buck. And with this board changing a little bit, kind of may change that, but I think keeping us updated on this, within this full understanding of this process, understanding the process, I think is a very important issue. Not just because where ACE is at, but also I think because you have two different boards, so that we can keep both our boards abreast and understand, as well as the community when they're asked. And so in terms of if we did have to go out and get money, how can we explain to people who we're asking for if we're asking for money, how we spent the first $2 million that we've had. I think it's very important that we understand that we all are able collectively as a board are able to speak to that.
Okay.
Furthermore, it's like we need a detailed list. Electronically. We know it's going to be for the improvement of the structure, but we just need a detailed list. What electrical would in detail for your money.
Okay. I will get that out.
When you mentioned $1 million from two sources, what were two sources?
Beaufort and Jasper, their boards each voted, so that's in a separate account.
Oh, okay.
That was about two
Yeah,
fiscal years.
I think it's probably important to, just to kind of level set with everybody and make sure we're kind of up to speed a little bit on it. To my recollection right now, the work at ACE was somewhere to the tune of $23 to $26 million or something like that, that needed to be done. So because in the existing arrangement, these are capital projects, it's the two entities responsible are Beaufort County School District and Jasper County School District. And in the existing arrangement, I think legislation, it outlines 50% of the dollars are capital projects are Beaufort County is responsible, and 50% of the dollars Jasper County is responsible when it comes to capital projects or capital dollars. And so at the time, in the conversation, Jasper was trying to find what they would be able to contribute at that juncture in time. And at that juncture in time, they had, I think it was $1 million that they said. So then Beaufort contributed $1 million to that because it's the 50-50 piece. But to be clear, for all of us, I think that $2 million, you know, we're just scratching the surface on what was identified in terms of needs for the facility. And I want to say, was it like 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
I think it was 3.
3 years ago? So that's, I say that to say that was the price tag 3 years ago. So we could assume that that price tag today is probably more.
And at the time, the board had agreed to use that $2 million to get the architect and the design team. And whatever was left over, start the electrical work. So we're starting to get the plans from the design team on the electrical work. And they'll start coming in with more information on what would happen after that. So what I will do is I will forward what I received from the board in terms of the electrical blueprints and so forth. That is what I've received at this point. Yes, ma'am.
I think that if you can let us know what can be done with the 2 million. Beaufort would have, Jasper would have. And we know that prices, everything is going up. So you may not have enough to complete that project in the park right now. But if you give us some details of what you can do with that, then we may have to go back to the board to try to get some more funds.
I will get as much information as I can, share that.
Okay.
Our Boeing, last year we had 2 students, this year we have 3 for our Boeing Manufacturing Development Program. This is a program that our students apply to, they interview for, it's very competitive throughout the state. They give these students a per hour rate for the summer to go up and work at Boeing in North Charleston. They also give them a one-time stipend to pay for their travel or cost of living up there. Some students choose to live. This year we've had 3 students go, Brady from Hilton Head, Zavala from Ridgeland, and Jamel from Ridgeland. So 3 of our kids will be up working at Boeing this summer. The 2 students that did last year were both offered employment before they started senior year, so hopefully, and they've accepted that employment and are gonna start working fairly soon. So we're hoping the same thing happens for these 3 students and it leads to them getting jobs. We also, and I'm gonna let Ms. Chappell talk about this, This is a really exciting part. This expands our partnership with them. And she really worked hard on this with our CDF, Ms. Dixon, and our teachers, because we had to apply for this, and I'm gonna let her talk about the process and where it's led to.
So Boeing just started in South Carolina. They just started their pre-employment training program where they certify courses, classes at different schools to essentially allow students to skip over the pre-employment process and go straight to a job offer if our instructors recommend them for that. So we applied through them. We're the first high school in South Carolina to be certified to be a pre-employment site. And we were certified in these 4 program areas: auto tech, auto collision, building construction, and electricity. So starting in the fall, our teachers will be able to recommend students directly to Boeing for a job, straight out of ACE after they graduate. So it's very exciting. They did a whole review of a lot of different documentation and curriculum information to ensure that the skills they're learning here translate directly to what they need at Boeing, and certified these 4 programs. So it's very exciting for us and for our students.
And this, we are as Ms. Chapel mentioned, we're the first high school in the state to have this. The only other school in the state with this designation is Trident Tech. So we are the first, non-post-secondary institution in the state. This will allow our students to get recommended and go off and work without even having to really interview.
Rachel, how are these students being picked out?
This is what our next phase of this is we've been talking about this to put in a system. Obviously, we'll start with a teacher recommendation, but we want to put in the checks and balances to make sure that they meet certain academic, social, attendance criteria. So we're going to start with designing that criteria this summer.
And now that we've been certified, the instructors for these programs will go to a training at Boeing where they will lay out the whole process and give them all the criteria that they want in a student that's being recommended. So we just were informed that we are certified as of Friday of last week. So we're in the very beginning stages of getting this implemented. But our instructors will go and be trained about exactly what Boeing's looking for and what their process is. And then we're also going to create a process, an internal process of how specifically an ACE student will end up being able to be recommended.
Okay. Well, how did you do it last year?
We didn't have this last year. This is brand new, this pre-employment training program. We've been partners with Boeing now for a couple years, and they do have this summer program that we have 3 students going to this summer. We did that process, but this pre-employment process is brand new.
So with this new program, when you say brand new, how new?
We just found out Friday.
Okay. So how will you relay this information to the high schools?
We're gonna be working on that now. I actually, right before I came in here, spoke to our CDF, Ms. Dixon, and she and I are gonna sit down on Monday and kind of outline all the different steps that we need to take. But we will keep the feeder schools informed, and, students will be, obviously, will know what the criteria are and that this opportunity exists.
Will the schools participate in formulating the criteria?
It'll be, ACE was chosen, so it'll be ACE will do that.
So the high schools will not be a part of that?
They'll be their students will go there, but we were appointed, our teachers were appointed, and they'll be trained.
Mm-hmm.
So once they attend that training, they'll have a better understanding of it.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll be the ones that help design that.
Good, I understand, and that's good. But my question, what I would like to know, how much communication will take place with the feeder schools concerning this program? Because now that you have established this is great. Now that this has been established, you really want it to continue, and you want it to continue in a solid form. So it seems like that would call for some communication and working relationships with the high schools. So will you be establishing some kind of communication plan throughout the year?
Yes, I mean, we'll certainly communicate with them, but it really is qualified to students in these programs right here that have attended ACE. So they'll have an understanding, and we'll probably have an understanding before they leave us and go back to their feeder school that they're interested in this program. So we'll communicate with the counselors, obviously their families, because this is a big step if you plan on moving to North Charleston and pursuing this. So we'll have a list of these students, we'll speak to these students as a whole, inform them of the program, the criteria and so forth, and we'll start that process when they get back in the fall. And as we go forward, we'll go through that process, and whatever students qualify and are still interested at the end, we'll forward their names to Boeing if they meet the criteria.
And
If I may,
Yes, sir?
I think to ease the concern or to address the question of how not necessarily this program, but a Boeing partnership can be fostered between the high schools, the feeder schools. Boeing does have that program, those programs available. Like you said, they have summer camps, but they do have working relationships with the actual school districts or in this case, feeder schools that our other students would be attending. So that is a possibility that those students who are not necessarily attending ACE could still participate in Boeing programs. And they also have like different facilitators that'll actually come out and do STEM camps and things of that nature at the actual schools. So our students who are not at ACE can still have that opportunity to get information from Boeing and training from Boeing.
Yeah, it's just that what I would like to see with this program, because the students, your students, are coming from the feeder schools, I would certainly like to see some of this communicated down to the middle school level. You know, this particular program, where these students could possibly go as far as Boeing is concerned, and then you have the program right there in Pula.
Gulfstream.
Yeah, you know, you have Gulfstream right down the road. So to me, this could be, just an awesome opportunity, and it is. And congratulations to you for getting this going. However, I would just like to see it really be communicated through these schools, even down to the middle school level, because that's where we're trying to get these kids career oriented, even elementary. But I would just like to make sure that we are fully communicating this to our students, not just the kids who are coming here, but the kids who are in middle school and just beginning to think about career options.
we'll certainly include this in our recruitment efforts moving forward. You know, when students come here to take tours or we go to them to do our recruiting, this will certainly be part of the message, particularly for these 4 programs. So if you apply for one of these 4 programs and come to ACE, you'll have this opportunity. I mean, that will certainly be a selling point for us.
You know, you mentioned to us some time ago, Dr. Lovecchio, that your student capacity here was what, 215, somewhere around
Yeah.
215? But at that time you had what, about 120, 160?
In that ballpark.
Huh?
In that ballpark.
Okay. So how many years has it been since you've been at full capacity?
Well, we start out almost every semester at full capacity. So for instance, right now, and I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, we're pretty close to capacity when we bring in our students for next January.
Mhm.
However, over that time, students change their mind. They graduate early, they don't meet criteria, so they end up staying in their feeder school to complete graduation requirements, they move, et cetera. And one of the things that is difficult, we get a handful of new kids, but once they've kind of set their path in the 10th grade, it's difficult to get new kids. If there's a waiting list, we get them. If there's not a waiting list, sometimes we share with the principals and the counselors of all the feeder schools, and we don't get the amount of applications once the new school year starts because students are scheduled out already. We had our induction into our National Technical Honor Society, which is a technical version, or a version of the National Honor Society. A wonderful evening. I just wanted to share a picture of our kids that we're proud of. We're thinking of making a change. A lot of them couldn't get there, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit. We do this in the evenings, but I think we may be doing it during the school day because of the difficulties our students had in conflicts with sports and activities and so forth. So we're going to probably be moving that so we get a little more. But the list was probably double this at least of students that got in, and we're really proud of that group. Thanks to those who attended our completer ceremony. We had our completer ceremonies for our beauty culture, our EMT, and our culinary arts. A few weeks back, it was a wonderful event, and we're proud of all our completers. So we still have students testing in barbering on Monday. We still have students testing in EMT, and a few taking a retest in Cosmo. So our testings continued because those are scheduled, as I previously mentioned, to the state, and we'll anxiously awaiting results from some of these students. Wishing them luck. Here's just some of our different field trips we went. We had some of our students went to the Civil Air Patrol, those interested in aviation. We had a group, Mr. Small set that up, that went to the Georgia ports. We learned about a program they have for graduates that we're looking to pursue, a wonderful opportunity that's employs students who are recent graduates of different programs. And Newbie Americas, which is a manufacturing company, and our students got to tour that as well. So we go on a lot of field trips. I thought this was interesting, and this kind of goes back to my slide, and I just thought I would share it because we were doing a little research on it. When we didn't have a lot of students that couldn't get transportation to the National Technical Learning Society. So right now, here are the high schools that we serve. Here are the distances to ACE. In both districts, there's about 7,000 high school students, and we total about 1,625 square miles of Beaufort and Jasper. And we're here smack dab in the middle. So I just thought that would be interesting to look at and wrap your head around it, especially when you consider that our attendance is right at 95, 96% traditionally of how far our students have to come on a daily basis from their feeder schools. So it just gives you kind of a good visual of what we're working on.
Excuse me,
Yes, sir. Yeah.
is there transportation available for these students?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's buses from every feeder school. Mm-hmm. So the majority of kids will take their regular bus to their school like they're going to their school, and then there'll be a bus that leaves from each of the schools to ACE, and then reverse. And students are allowed to drive. You know, and most of the time, you see kids driving because of the gas prices. It's in this like local vicinity of most states.
Okay.
That's Abar.
Good morning.
Hello.
I'm Katie Abar. I'm the Director of Budget for Beaufort County School District. This morning, I'd like to start with the financial update for this school year. In your financial packets that we gave out, it's actually on page 3. It won't be on the screen, but it's on page 3 of your packet.
Page
Of your financial packet. It has the packet has the executive summary on the front, and then on the 3rd page, it has the financial report. On this packet, not the slide presentation.
Take this.
The next one. Okie dokie. You got it.
Okay, so to review the third quarter financials, this report is through April 30th of this school year. At this time, we have received 78% in revenues, at $3,120,933 for local revenues. And then overall revenues also at 78% for $3,193,111. Total expenditures through April 30th are at 72%, at $2,946,475. This year, we are earning more interest income than we projected this school year at about $18,000. We projected at $7,000. So right at the end of April, we are 72% spent of the budget for this fiscal year. And there's still 2 months left in the school year. They did install the refrigerator, got installed this week that we had talked about at the last board meeting. But they're in good shape for spending for the rest of this school year. Are there any questions about the financial report for this year?
Seem to be.
Also, yeah, I do. I understand that you bring it to us in this form, but is there another form that tells us exactly toward to where the dollars are being spent? That
Yes, sir.
kind of itemized.
Yes, sir. The 4th page of your packet,
Which packet? We have 2 packets.
the board documents.
Okay.
So the report is on page 3, and then the pages behind it, page 4 is the revenues as of April 30th, and they're itemized by local, and then other revenues. And then the next page, page 5, is the expenditures through April 30th.
So this is similar to like a normal district budget, most of it's salaries and benefits.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. What do you say, 85, 90%?
Yes, ma'am.
She identify herself.
Oh, yes, I'm Jatana Norris, I'm the interim CFO of Jasper County. I work with Dr. Hickson.
Okay. It's the same, whoever in terms of work. You. Absolutely.
Okay, I'll move on to the next school year's budget, the 26-27. The document that goes along with my presentation is page 9 of your financial packet. So the one that we were just in with the third quarter report, if you go through the revenues and the expenditures, it's actually page 9 is the budget projection for the next school year.
Okay.
And then the other packet that we gave you is actually the presentation that'll be flying behind me. So for the budget for this next school year, I sit down with Dr. Lovecchio and Antoinette, and we put together a plan for what they are looking at for the next school year. Some of the challenges we noticed in the beginning is we have unfunded state mandates that will affect our revenues. We have building equipment repairs that are needed, similar to the refrigerator that they just replaced this year. We have rising costs in our contracted services like cleaning and maintenance, and then the increase in consumer goods. So those are things that we're also considering while we're building the budget for next year. And I'll talk about the unfunded state mandates a little bit later in the presentation. The other way. Sorry. one with the circles.
There you go.
Okay, the biggest portion of the budget for the school year is salaries and benefits. Through state policies, Beaufort-Jasper ACE follows Beaufort County's salary schedule. Our board did vote on a salary increase of $25,000 to every teacher step on the salary scale.
2,500.
Sorry, 2,500.
It's nice though.
Yes, yeah, I knew.
Did you hear it?
I did. I'm writing that down.
Just 2,500. Maybe next year.
I gotta have a balanced budget.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, yes, to clarify, 2,500 to every cell of the teacher's salary schedule. We also continued the 6% special education supplement again this year. Teachers will receive a step increase as well. And we also continued with the $1,500 locality supplement that they'll receive in 2 payments throughout the school year. For certified professionals and admin staff, they will receive a 3% increase in their salary and also a step. The third one you had?
Quick question. So what's like the base salary for if you have a new teacher coming on?
So
What does that
the
look like?
salary this year is $60,087 this school year. So the first cell of the teacher salary with no experience coming right in is $60,087 with the $2,500 increase. It will be $62,587 will be the starting teacher salary for the next school year.
Okay.
And every teacher again will receive a $2,500 increase.
Okay.
So with the $2,500 increase and the $1,500 locality, the total compensation for a first year teacher is starting at $64,087.
Not bad. Okay.
Okay, this is just a summary of the increases. The left side is the teacher compensation. The right side is classified professionals and admin. The classified professionals and admin again receive a 3% cost of living as well as the step increase, same as the teachers. And we also moved our salary schedule from step 30 to 31 next year.
I do have a question about that. In terms of ACE, can you tell us more in terms of, I know we did a 3% cost of living in terms of and maybe this may not be a question for you exactly, but in terms of teachers and certified staff and uncertified staff, in terms of ACE building is built a little different. So when we say teachers, you have some teachers who are certified there, and if I'm understanding, can you tell me what are the methods of, so what classifies you as a teacher versus, excuse me. Basically, the first question is, what classifies you as a teacher?
ACE follows the same salary schedule as Beaufort County School District. So the same policies for Beaufort County also affect the ACE salary scale. So their certified teachers also follow our same
Right,
salary scale.
but for someone who does not know that, I'm asking you, the question at hand is basically, what are the criteria in terms of understanding what are the criteria for a teacher, a certified teacher? What are those criteria?
That would be a human resources question instead of finance.
Yeah, and I think what you would be looking at, is if you have, if you have a certification as a teacher and instructor, you're in that certified category, right? So you're the teacher. right? You're a certified teacher.
You're certified by the state.
And you're certified by the state.
Right, right. And the reason why I'm asking is that's what also, as a board, could we have that to be sent out to us as a board? Because of the fact that understanding what these teachers over here do, sometimes it's different from what teachers in various schools do.
Yeah.
And so also understanding the salary caps and what that looks like, because, so, you know, for in other words, for instance, cosmetologies or nails, you know, where would they fall? Because, you know, what is that like for them? Would they be in the classified section, or would they be in the teacher section? Because that also tells us, hey, they might only get 3%, and the board could be thinking, hey, they're getting that 25%, they get that 2.5, that $2,500.
So
that changes the game of accountability.
Sure, and I'll let Dr. Lovecchio chime in here for a second, but also remember, like I'm not sure how you're structured in your high school, but in our high schools, we also have some technical ed programming, like welding as an example, right? In a couple of our high schools, and they fall in the certified teacher category. Same with you, okay.
Sure. So
But Dr. Lovecchio, do you?
Sure. So theoretically, if we were having a vacant nursing position and we had a nurse apply, the nurse applies and has to submit documentation of their experience to the state, as well as fingerprints and other required. It's a pretty comprehensive list of things they have to submit that are including transcripts, et cetera. That goes to the state. In the meantime, we post the position, we interview. If we make a recommendation to Human Resources, they do all the things they would do for a traditional teacher. In the meantime, the state is going through their documentation, and they come back to HR and respectively me or the principals, and they say, this person qualifies because they have experience. And they do an alternative route. It's called, it used to be called direct, it's now called
Teaching to lead.
Teaching to Lead, starting this year. So they take classes through the state to earn their teacher license. They're considered teachers until they get that license. They still are considered teachers, but they have a 2-year or 3-year window to get their license in that time.
Temporary certification until they complete that course, and then they're fully certified
So
as a teacher.
it's an alternative route. So they don't go to school for education, they come in with the experience. And there are a few different alternative routes if you look. I'm not familiar with them all, but the state has a few. That's the CTE pathway that almost all of our teachers that teach a program have taken.
In addition, Mr. Smith, you've heard Ms. Walton talk about the LEAP program.
Right.
That LEAP program for us is one that we house, which is an alternative certification pathway like they're talking about. But ultimately, the credential is provided by the state, as Dr. Hickson said. The state says, you're certified, you get a temporary certification, or you don't qualify for a certification.
Right, gotcha. Okay, and that's just good. That's just good understanding in terms of understanding what the salary looks like in terms of what we have and what is employed in this building. And if we could we just have also I'd like to have a list of how many certified staff we have versus teachers versus classified, so we can get a clear understanding too of what in terms of finances. What that look like, because that definitely could be shifting in terms of some things that we may need to understand and process as we move forward. Speaking up and advocating for things, because she said that she's going to bring a list in a minute of a list of unfunded state mandations, and that's something that we need to speak to our state legislators about. Saying, hey, look here, you want ACE to be up and running, we need some more money because this is what we got. So being able to speak to that will be a very important speaking component to asking and advocating for money. Thank you.
Okay, there's more details about the unfunded state mandates. Good segue.
Okay, my bad. Please, thunder.
One of the unfunded state mandates for this next school year is this state is having increase to teacher salary, to vocational teacher salary based on their experience. So we are not funded by the state for this increase, but we have budgeted for this increase in vocational salaries in this budget for the next school year. Another unfunded state mandate is this school year, there are 2 pots of money that sit in special revenue funds. One is $50,000 that they can use on supplies, equipment. The second pot of money was $236,000 that could only be used for salaries and benefits. So
You said 50?
I'm sorry?
You said 50?
They have a special revenue pot of money that has $50,000 that they get from the state every year. And then they have a special revenue pot. There are very specific rules on what they can use it for. And then they have a second pot of money only allowable for salaries and benefits. They are now combining and reducing those funds, which for us is a $36,000 difference that will be moved and will have to be moved into the general fund. Those are the 2 state mandates. The other expansion is a technology expansion to expand the on-site technician from 3 days to 5 days. So that's a request in this budget. And then they have a mandated culinary kitchen cleaning. And then we also have the 3% increase to the contracted services such as cleaning, custodial, and maintenance to facilities. Increase to facility repairs. So those are the 4 areas of increases that you'll see in this budget request. Okay, so the budget for the next school year, we are requesting a $4,314,422 budget. It's an increase of $218,338 from this school year, which is about a 5% increase. 91% of that increase is in salaries and benefits, is the increases to teacher salary, the increases to CTE funding, and then the funding that we bring into the general fund to also support the teacher salaries. With that increase, if there is no increase to revenue, and one of the options is to use fund balance, or the other option would be to decrease expenditures. Without an increase in local funding, the fund balance would go to 14%, or $608,755. For a balanced budget and an increase to the local tuition payments, it would be an increase for Jasper County School District for $72,780 over the school year, and Beaufort County School District increase $145,558 over the entire school year. Okay, and then this is the report that was the page 9 that was in your financial packet that I had you pull out at the beginning of this presentation. So this is what you have is a bigger version of this report, and also has a little bit more information on the bottom with the increases that we're expecting for this school year, with salaries, with culinary kitchen cleaning, the items that we're continuing, like the locality and the special education supplement. Those are outlined on the bottom of that paper, as well as the tuition increases. Do you have any questions? Okay, so the action that we would be requesting today is that the board would certify this budget for ACE for the next school year.
So this is a motion. If one of you would like to make this motion and get a second, then we can have a discussion how we're gonna vote.
So you want this read?
Yes, please.
Okay. So the action that is requested here is to certify the Beaufort-Jasper ACE 2026-27 budget. The recommended motion, I move that the board certifies the 2026-27 Beaufort-Jasper ACE general fund budget in the amount of $4,314,422.
Have a second?
$1,000.
Have a second?
Second.
Second, and it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Any questions or discussion,
I
sir?
would like, so how does the superintendents from both Beaufort and Jasper feel about the budget?
We were aware of it and we have it built into the budget already.
Correct.
Budget that we presented to the state and that we presented to the council.
It was the same with the, we voted it in at Beaufort County. Any other questions? There are no other questions?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I do understand that the superintendents are aware of this budget and of this information that has been told to us today. But before coming to a meeting like this right here to make a vote on this, I think a more of a pre-meeting in terms of maybe this is something that should have been discussed possibly at the work session, the last work session. Not on you, that's not on y'all. But just in kind of an FYI to understand this process, to be able to help the decision to kind of move forward, because sometimes I just, me personally, I can't speak for other board members here. I like to kind of be rational and be able to explain these decisions, and in terms of in Beaufort County, when we have a budget, we have different budget. We have different budget hearings and to kind of break the budget down to us a little bit at different times versus just getting it at one time and we can go off of it. So I just think in the future, if we can have something that kind of replicates that, or FYI, this is what's coming and this is how we've done it. The superintendent, both of the superintendents are on board with it, and they understand and they're in full support of the process, and also let the board know so that the board is also in full support of the process, and not the day of. I just think that is a more meticulous and more of a friendly approach in terms of making decisions like these right here at such a time like this right here. I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion, questions? All right, let's have a vote. All those in favor of approving the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Oh, excuse me, and also thank you for your presentation. I appreciate what you're trying to do.
Dr. Lovecchio, this appears to be everything that's on the agenda for today. Do you have any announcements or anything else you'd like to say?
I can answer Mr. Smith's question. We have 21 certified staff members and 6.5 classified staff members.
I appreciate it. Could you send it in the form of an email to in the form of an email? So not just here.
Okay. If there's no objection, we will adjourn by unanimous consent. Thank you very much.